Agent Nesty, at your service. Me, Russian, playing with my friends in the yard in Russia. While we're having fun, our alcohol neighbor passes by us. He is Russian, I guess. He sees me. He looks at me. He narrows his eyes with his fingers like that and calls me Marika and leaves disgust. So in short, is there racism in Russia? Yes, of course. As in every country, unfortunately, and in this video you will learn how unique racism in Russia is. And if suddenly you are curious what Marika means, that's how he called me. It means a Marie female, and the Mari people are people who mainly live in the Republic of Mariel and in the north of the Republic of Bashkortostan. These are all subjects of the Russian Federation. Russia is very multi-ethnic country with diverse population. According to the latest data from the Russian Federal State Statistics Service, there are about 193 different ethnic groups living in Russia. The largest ethnic group is the ethnic Russians, who make up about 80% of the population. Other significant ethnic groups include Tatars, Bashkirs, Chuvash, Chechens, Armenians, Avars, and many others. There are also significant numbers of migrants and foreign workers from various countries, especially from the not very rich countries of the former Soviet Union, such as Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan. Am I Mari? I don't know. Maybe yes. How would I know for sure? But even if I am Marie, this is none of his business. But then, as a child, I was really worried about it. Like, what is wrong with my eyes? Why he said that? But don't worry, now I understand that this man, he was some alcoholic bum and now he's probably dead, so I'm not angry on him anymore. Well, if you're still worried, your like and follow to my channel is the best support. So many different people exist in my country together and everyone has such different cultures. I'm just delighted. Being different is so beautiful. But if any of them comes to Moscow and try to rent any, even the smallest and oldest apartment with a classic design and the style of Russian chic of the 90s, they will most likely see a note from the landlord. I will rent an apartment only to Slavs. Slavs, rent to a young Slav couple, only Slavs, or only Russians, but not in the meaning of residence of the country, but in the meaning of nationality. Moreover, according to statistics, the cheaper the housing, the most likely you will see this requirement in the ads. Interesting moment, isn't it? But do not think if you will come from America, Germany, or Switzerland, you will not be given an apartment in any case. No. You do not understand. It's different. Landlords have their own detector of ethnicity in their heads. And most often it depends not so much on the country you came from, but on your appearance. What a surprise, right? Let's play a little game. Right now you will be able to see, are you gonna pass the test in the head of the Moscow landlord? So if you look like this, most likely you will pass this test. As you can see, I do not look like this, so I did not pass the test in the head of this alcoholic. Let me know your results in the comments. But seriously, this is a really big problem. If you're a representative of another nationality, and even if you have a good job and speak Russian, maybe with an accent, then there is a big chance that choosing between a person of Slavic appearance and you, the landlord, will not make a choice in your favor. But mostly still it touches residents of the neighboring countries of Russia or ethnic minorities of Russia. And this is not due to the fact that all Russians are some tough racists and they strive for purity of blood or whatever. This is due to the widespread false belief that this is representatives of our nationalities who most often commit crimes. At the same time, if you ask an ordinary average Russian, most likely he will be sure that there is no racism in Russia. A lot of people think that this is only America's problem. This is because many have absorbed the myth that Russia still lives by principle, the friendship of nations. This is the slogan that was proclaimed during the Soviet Union. It means that we are all working together to create a common, beautiful communist future, regardless of ethnicity or national identity. This idea sounds great, but in fact, everything was a little different. For example, during the Stalin era, campaigns were carried out to repress national minorities such as Kazakhs, Crimean Tatars, Chechens, and others. Entire peoples were deported from the country en masse because they were suspected of collaborating with the Nazi occupiers or because of anti-Soviet actions during World War II. So even the official policy of Soviet Union to combat racism and discrimination did not help much the creation of absolutely tolerant environment, and it is often the state that use racism for its own benefit. After all, to find an enemy that is easy to identify, just look at its external signs or the region of residence means to rally the people around themselves for the sake of fighting this enemy. And now the people are no longer busy looking for mistakes in the work of state people, but are fighting against a terrible enemy that threatens everything good in our lives. Jeez. So many parallels with our situation now. I'm not doing this on purpose. I promise. I noticed that in Russia there are still a lot of prejudices about people of our nationalities. For some reason in the news, then they talk about another terrible crime committed on the territory of Russia by a Russian citizen. They consider it important to mention that this person is Dagestani or Caucasian, but these are the same citizens of our country. Why do you do this? And they do not commit more crimes than Russian majority. And as we can see now, with time, the more they repeat this in the news, the more it is stuck in your head that these people are more aggressive. In the early 2000s, racism flourished in Russia, together with development and activity of such a group of people as skinheads. It will be so cool if you will tell me in the comments, did they exist in your country? Skinheads are a subculture that appeared in the UK in the late 1960s. At first, skinheads were associated with reggae music, but over time, the skinhead subculture branched out into different directions, including neo-Nazis and other extremists. Skinheads usually shave their heads and wear jeans, leather jackets, and boots. In the early 2000s, skinheads in Russia was such a Ku Klux Klan. These people often used violence and threats to achieve their goals. I don't know which kind of goals they had. To kill everyone, including attack on immigrants, gays, Jews, and other minorities. Today, I found on the internet that skinheads are still exist in Russia, but in a really small amount. I never saw them in real life, thanks God. Who knows, maybe I would not pass exam in their head as well. Maybe skinheads disappeared together with these guys. And right now, this phrase, what we talked about before, renting housing to Slavs only, is prohibited in the housing rental service in Russia, ЦАН. They stated that they stand for equal opportunities for all, and they simply do not publish advertisement if there is any discrimination on the basis of ethnicity or race. So, along with this, and with the work of Russian human rights organizations, including those engaged in combating discrimination, we are actively moving towards solving these problems. Moreover, a study conducted by the Levada Center in 2018 showed that negative attitude towards people from other countries were more common among less educated and rural respondents, which could be attributed to a lack of knowledge or understanding about our cultures. Even though racist can be with any education, but still with times and developing of education, especially in the field of human rights, this will change for the better if suddenly we do not go to bad direction. The solution of all these problems are being postponed now for many years. Fakes continue to be propagandized on TV perceive that European countries and of course America hate Russians. But it is worth remembering that this affects only people who believe everything what the state media says. And here is not as many such people in Russia as they want us to think. And we, as an international community, can also help in this if we continue to prove that people are not divided into bad and good just by skin color, gender, or country of residence. There are no bad Russians, no bad Americans. They are only individuals who can commit bad deeds, what we as society should condemn and try to change. Wow, I said it so cool. Thank you so much for watching until the end, and by the way, you can also join my community on Patreon or Boosty. I'll be happy to see you there. Take care of yourself. Пока-пока. This is not a beer, I promise.